the podcast where no subject is too taboo to discuss. Now, please welcome your hosts, Andy Barker and Drew Del Pree.
Look at that, I remembered to unmute my mic this time before I started speaking. And I even remembered to unmute yours.
Remembered?
I remembered. I can't speak tonight.
No, it's all good. It's happy to be back on another Friday night. Welcome back, everybody. We don't have a guest tonight, so it's just Andy and I. And further complicate matters, my daughter's at a sleepover, and my wife is working nights.
Wait a minute. What do you mean complicate? That sounds like boys night in.
Oh man, it's like a dream come true. But you know what I found myself doing 20 minutes before you and I got online for the podcast?
Taking a nap?
No, walking around wondering, what am I gonna do? Like I had dreams, you fantasize like, oh man, I'd be off. I'm gonna watch TV. As my wife's like, be quiet down there. I'm like, I can't wait till they're gone so I can turn the TV up. I can't wait till they're gone so I can do this. I went to go watch TV. I was like, I don't really want to watch TV. Maybe I'll play a video. I don't really want to play a video game.
You probably wondering why. Probably trying to figure out, hey, what am I gonna eat? What somebody gonna make me something? Where is everyone?
I was like, what am I gonna do until it's podcast time? I got nothing to do.
Should have called me earlier, man. I'm not ignoring you. I promise, sir. I'm just trying to do a little housekeeping behind here, share the show, and things of that nature. So please proceed. All right, then. What the fuck's wrong with you, man? See, you just caused an FCC fine.
I did not cause any FCC fine.
You did. You brought out the potty word out of my mouth.
Oh, I didn't mean to. Hey, so Andy, I had a chance. Elections were last week, and I had a chance to work on a campaign. And I know you worked on a campaign.
I did.
Yeah. How long? Now yours was a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think you got a chance to do a little bit more than me. I happened to walk by the Republican booth at a fair, and I just walked up to say hello and got sucked in, right? So I worked with the Republican candidates for school board. We had our election November 7th, like a lot of places, and I'm happy to say all three candidates that I supported won.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's actually good to hear because I've heard that the Republican Party took kind of a shellacking.
I mean, there were some losses. I mean, if you're holding, the deep red state of Alabama's governorship, a win, I guess. But yeah, I mean, there were some defeats, but I mean, there were also some shenanigans as well. I mean, in Pennsylvania, they had to close down machines for some of the vote flipping or something. There was an issue in one of the counties, and then
that's racist.
Yeah, I know. And then I think there was another issue. I think Ohio's ballot initiative on abortion, they said, was written horrible. I don't know. I don't live in Ohio. I live next to Ohio.
Hey, before you get too much further, I need to not only hello there, Zoom. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I need to not only apologize, but kind of give a warning, I guess, or hey, Daddy might have had a little something to help him feel better earlier, so ignore me and accept my apology. Moving right along, please, sir.
Moving right along. Hey, so the reason I brought that up though, and I mentioned that you had worked on a campaign before, is because I thought it was the reason I helped. Wasn't so much I cared about like the school board or the candidates, right? I'll just be upfront on my thought about the school. Parent your damn children, and it shouldn't matter who's on the board, okay?
Amen.
Right? If you parent your children, when they come home with nonsense from a progressive, ridiculous teacher, you knock that crap out, move about your day, and you don't have to worry about who's running for school board or any of that nonsense or books in the library, because if you parent your child and you're an active parent, that crap, it won't matter.
That's right.
I wanted to help them because I wanted to see how the sausage was made, right? Like in my fanciful mind, right? I'm gonna see behind the presidential curtain with this school board race, right?
Right.
But it was really, really interesting though. I got to see the GOP database. That was pretty neat. obviously accesses are restricted, and you know you can only access what you need to access and things like that.
There's a lot of people out there that don't know you that are probably thinking, whatever, yeah, he's full of crap. But no, I know you, and 100% that's exactly why you did it.
Yes, yeah, it's 100%. I thought maybe I would see like, you know, some interesting stuff or some behind the scenes. I saw nothing really interesting. Well, that's what I'm going to tell you right now. Here, let me spoiler alert. Nothing really interesting. Okay, but you know, unless you're nerdy like me. If you're nerdy like me, what you will find interesting is that they do keep what you send them. That's what I found that was the most interesting. They do record when you talk to them. When people come and knock on your door and you have a conversation with them, they record that. You know, they make a note of that, and they build your voter profile off of conversations and things like that.
I think you talked our only chatter away. Anyway, it happens. So Zun, I'm thinking Zun, if you're still here. What's up, dude? Zun, I don't know. Where are you from? What do you do? If you haven't left already. Anyway, no. Yeah. So you said 3 candidates.
So 3 candidates. Well, like I said, what was more interesting was the database. So I went and looked at my profile, and so my profile says there were 3 classifications you could have: strong, weak, or swing. I'm considered a strong Republican, supports Trump. There's a note in there, hates Pelosi. And then at the bottom it says reliable voter. So what I thought was hilarious was the consultant, the paid consultant, I was a volunteer, who was showing me, you know, here's what you use this for, right? You know, you want to make sure you don't, you know, when we send people out to knock on doors, you want to make sure you don't knock on the wrong door. You know,
right.
If you can prevent it, you try not to bother the other party, right? So so you just go in there to verify addresses and stuff. But he looks at it and he's like, "Oh yeah, man." He's like, "It's all good stuff, man. If you decide to run, they'd throw you money." He's like, "You have the markers."
No kidding.
I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
But I've seen you, man. You ain't running.
No,
period.
No.
I mean, you might run to the bathroom.
Cursory search of my trash would show immediately why I couldn't hold public office.
Not to mention your internet browser.
Oh yeah. Browser search history alone would preclude me.
And the fact that you may or may not have. Anyway, moving right along, we don't need to go down that road.
No, I don't have anything. Yeah. So just for anybody who knows, Andy and I have been around for, man. That's a joke I've been telling for years. Oh man, I can't run for office. My browser history alone disqualifies me. They're like the look on people's faces when they're like, "What? What do you mean?" You know?
That's the best part.
Oh yeah, the shock, and awe.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's the best part.
I think so. Yeah. Oh, you know what? You know what else I learned? And I thought this was really interesting. So I talked to the paid consultant, and I would tell him all the time, like, "Are you sure? Are you?" I don't say all the time. The first time I talked to him, I say, "Hey, are you sure door knocking works?" Because my wife hates that crap. Right? I said, "Are you sure?"
Dude, I've got signs all over saying no soliciting. You know, fucking get the fuck out of here.
Turns out, he says to me, surveys of actual GOP voters, right? The base that comes out appreciates the door knock. They view it as at least you cared enough to come. So I said, okay, all right, I could see that. So I helped draw. The way I helped the campaign was I helped draw maps for people to go knock on doors. So they would call me, say, "I would like to knock in a neighborhood. Here's where I live. Do you have anything close?" I'd use the database to figure out, you know, draw a map of a neighborhood that they could knock on of GOP voters. They have different filters, things like that. And then I would
finally putting that brain to use.
Right. And then I give them access to an app. They log into an app. They have their map, and they, you know, do their, however they do it. Right. I just offered to draw maps. I was not interested in knocking on people's doors because I didn't buy into it that they appreciate it. Sure as heck, in post-election surveying in the GOP voters, they came out in this off-election year because somebody knocked.
No shit.
They had no idea what was going on, what election was happening, what the issues were in the community, because they were so focused on the national issues. They
Wow.
appreciated the knock.
Well, our
Really proud.
friend of the show, Brian Spencer,
Right.
who was the termed out as Missouri State Representative, that's exactly what he did. He went door to door. I mean, this dude was grassroots from, grass seed, basically. He did everything almost himself. And honestly, that's probably why he lost. And it's nothing against him, but he was, he was a man of principles, and he refused to cow down to like lobbyists and folks that were just giving money away for their vote. Instead, he went the old-fashioned way. He did fundraisers, door to door. He worked his ass off, quite literally. I mean, if you see him, he's a big dude. But yeah, but there's, now that you say that, there's probably something to be said for it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what else was really interesting was I went to work at the polls for a day for about 2 hours, right?
I bet you did, pal.
Handing out literature. I always think of that Rodney Dangerfield, Meet Wally Sparks. They're slipping in the polls, and the dumb wife walks in. Oh, that's terrible. They're such lovely people. Anyway. Oh, and they're such lovely people. Anyway, back to it, but I got to see firsthand, right? You know how they say politics is a nasty business, Nobody I spoke with was nasty to me, and I wasn't nasty to anybody. But man, were others nasty to others.
Oh, you could see it, man. You don't have to be in politics to see that crap.
Oh, and they were telling me, they're telling me, like, why are you talking to that person? Like, well, because two things could be true at one time, right? They could be politically stupid and an okay person, I mean, in my opinion, I try to separate the art from the artist a little bit as much as I can. But I thought anyway, but they're like, nah, I'm not shaking their hand. I'm not talking to them. People are like, oh, you don't, don't look that way, or why you over there? You seem like you're legit. Why, and
It's
you're
silly,
like,
man.
yeah, I was like, man, you guys, people are people, man. I mean, you disagree with ideas, but I don't know.
Whatever. They're probably.
It's your idea sucks, not you and your family tree. Just the idea. You're okay. Bring another idea.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, not you and your family tree. I didn't say that.
Holy smokes. So many.
Personal, though, don't they?
They do. It's all right. So, no, just leave that story alone. They might be watching.
And it isn't legal with animals yet.
Right, and that's really bad.
Whatever you're talking about, I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's against some animal code somewhere.
It's actually it's probably, if it's not yet, it soon will be in the DSM. It'll be a TDS.
Yeah, I thought hey, speaking of DSM, I'm going to do a callback a couple weeks ago when we talked to that gentleman, and he said they took narcissism out of the DSM-5.
They sure did.
That was surprising to me, man. But the more I thought about it over time, having time to digest that piece of information, I was like, well, shit, probably everybody reading it was like, that describes me to a T. Right. In America, we don't have the drugs for that.
Right. That's a great point, man. Who's writing the DSM? Okay, it's the American psychiatrist, whatever. Who is it really? Big Pharma, baby.
You ask yes, and you ask a very interesting question that now I'm going to shift gears, right? That I think, and you'll be able, and for the listeners here, we'll get off the medical topics and the politics. Well, no, it's not going to get off politics, but who writes the list, right? Ted Kennedy, the Lion of the Senate, was on the no-fly list for 6 months. 6 months. Look it up.
Wait. Say that one more time.
Ted Kennedy, the Lion of the Senate,
right?
The most powerful senator, arguably. They covered up a murder for him,
right,
to keep him in office. Okay, that's how much they loved him. All right, the Lion of the Senate was on the no-fly list for 6 months. He could not get off.
Shit.
And that raised a huge question. Who writes this list? If you mean to tell me Ted Kennedy, it took 6 months for his office to figure out who to call.
Wow, dude.
Them off. And so, yeah, it took that long. And you're like, imagine if you're on it. and you don't know who's on it. You don't find out till you get there, right? Who writes it? Who do you call if you're on it? Right? Who do I call? I'm not Ted Kennedy.
I gotta stop you real quick because I messed up. I should have done this at the very beginning of the show. I failed to do so, but happy birthday.
No, that's right.
Happy birthday. And I want to give a special shout
Happy
out
birthday, Andy.
to my 1-3 brothers. So I've done 1-3. It's the best freaking battalion ever. It was so good. I had to do it twice. You know, I was in 1-3 in the early 90s, and then again from the early 2003. So, but I can't, man. There's so many success stories, but there's so many heartbreaks that came out of that battalion. But one of my favorite success. Well, there's so many, but let me just man, it's hard to. I don't want to single him out because he's doing so great. I don't want, anyway. Oscar Mike, you know who you are, brother. You know who you are. He's I know I'm rambling, but went from enlisted Marine. He's now a CO in the Navy, and he's
Dylan.
What's that?
No, I'm just kidding.
Shut the I'm done. All right, we're ending this show. Good night, everybody. I'm just kidding. I had you though, didn't I?
Like that time I pretended I froze. You got me. You got me good. Like, oh, that would have been good. That would have been good, man.
Oh shit.
That would have been good.
Seriously though,
good.
man.
That would have been. It was good. It still is good. You got me good. As you shut it all down and then started laughing, I would have been like, oh man. Oh man.
There's no way I could have kept a straight face for that long. Are you kidding me?
I know. It was like that. I think I told the story last week of did I tell you last week? I was taking my medicine, right, from the not from the VA, but for VA reasons.
Roger.
Right, so I was taking my medicine, and I left the door open,
Oh,
and I'm always getting on my little one about leaving doors open, and so I left this door open, and she's like, you know, you left the door open, you know, and I said, well, do you know why I left this door open? And she looked up and said, raccoons. I lost it. They put me on Giggle Street, right? Because I was like, if this is an inside door to the house, why the hell would I leave my bedroom door open, right? Like the den room open for raccoons, right? Like she just looks up and goes, raccoons? And I said, no. So I start giggling. I lose it, man. She puts me on Giggle Street, right? I cannot recover.
I can see your little face saying that too, man.
Right. So because I'm on Giggle Street now, she's on Giggle
Oh, of course.
Right. So now neither one of us can recover. My wife has come down to investigate and immediately assesses the situation.
Hey, look, it's Tiffany. What's up, Lammy Poo?
So yeah, hey. So to finish out, she looks at me and starts.
That was so dismissive.
She looks at me and starts making it worse, bro. Starts making it worse. Looks at me like, are you having a problem? You know, did something funny happen here? Is there a joke? Would you like to share? Like,
oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah, she knew what was up, man. Assessed it immediately, and did not relent. And I got to lie the next morning, you know.
Good on her. So, Lammy Poo in the room.
Hey.
Super proud of this young lady, man. What a fucking. Speaking of success stories, right? What's up, man? What's the word? Man, they're coming out of the woodwork tonight.
What a great night to come out too, right? Caleb?
Right. Caleb, what's up, dude? So Lammy Poo, let me get back to her. Was the corpsman that worked with me in Pensacola. I'm going to give you the short version made chief, went to PA school, is now a PA. Just super success, man. I can't be any more proud of her because she's her and one other dude. They listened, right? We're always giving advice, and we're so lucky if maybe 1% of the people take us up on it, right? She's the 1%er, man. Oh, look at that! At her first green side command. Hey, yet happy birthday!
Lock up all your SIF gear and just buy new shit.
Yeah, totally.
If I have any piece of advice, just put it in a trunk, because when you have to go turn it in, it's all going to be gone.
That is the best. That is the most solid piece of advice ever.
Lock up your SIF gear. Just lock it up. Don't use it. Lock it up.
What's up, Caleb, man? Gee, let's shift gears from success to Caleb. What do you say? I'm just kidding.
Perfect.
Right. What's up, Caleb? You know what? It looks like it's Lou. I think we've lost the good fight. I'm just gonna put the number up to the show. People call in.
Yeah, why not?
Let's make it a party here. What do you say?
Sure.
But anyway, until that happens, get back to your your story of raccoons.
Let me see. Yeah. Oh no. So we finished that. So I was telling you, Andy, earlier. I've been a ravenous consumer of books lately, and one of them got right. That's the young kids call. Books is what the young kids go. Anyway, I've been a rabid consumer, audiobooks, and I picked up Influence. It's a book by a psychologist, and basically what it's been talking about, and what I was talking to Andy about for anybody listening is
this is fascinating.
What the guy says is there are certain natural responses and instincts and things that are built into us, hardwired, and thought patterns that are hardwired into us. And there are people who have figured out how to exploit that. Salesmen, various other people. And they looked at nature and various other things, and because we're all animals, right? How do you override these natural instincts? And so I'm not done with it, but I was telling him I'm only a couple of chapters in, and it has been insane. He was talking about the turkey, right? He said that the turkey is naturally attuned to listen to the cheep cheep of its little chicks, right? The visual response, the smell, none of that. The auditory overrides all of that. And that's his point is you can find things in animals to override other things. And he's saying there are people, and I'm not that far into the book yet, but there are people who do that to us on a daily basis, right? And he goes into explaining how people do it. But what he said was there's a bobcat that's a turkey's natural predator. When the turkey sees it, it freaks out. So what they did was created a stuffed version of the bobcat. The turkey still freaks out over the stuffed version. Then they inserted a speaker into it and had it go cheep cheep. The turkey not only approached it, but enveloped it in its wing, this bobcat, and brought it home. So they shut off the cheep cheep, and then freaked out, and then they turned it back on, and it went back to the nest, and they just kept.
So crazy, man.
Yeah, it is, and so and he said these are the studies that were fascinating him, which the psychiatrist, which caused him to go, leave the university for several years and go work in sales and go find out what these masters know, right? Like how they're doing this. He talked briefly about the word because. We were talking about Andy. He said there's a study, and I have to download the references in the beginning of the audiobook, which I've never heard done before. He expressly stated the website several times on where to go to get the references so you can read for yourself. Because the book is about you figuring out how you're being manipulated, right? Which obviously you can turn around and do to others, I guess. But it was fascinating. He said there was a study they did, and what they talked about was a line at the copier, and they sent people to cut in, and they weren't getting in, and then they added the word because. They said, so they would go in and say, hey, can I get ahead of you? Because. And whatever came after, it didn't really matter. 80% of the time they let people in. You know, and then what they
Interesting.
found was 70% of the time, they would let you in the line even if you didn't say anything after. You just said, "Hey, can I get in front of you because?" and then just let it hang. 70% of the time, people were more likely to let you in. Whereas
You know,
without saying because, it was in the 40.
that is, I believe, I'm going to say that's naturally ingrained in languages or cultures because my kids do it. And I hate it, you know? When you ask them a question, because. No, because why?
Right.
But they know to stop it because.
Yeah.
It's weird, man.
He was talking about how when you're on the outside looking in and you're not really thinking about it, these tricks you don't pick up on because they don't make sense to you. He said, so for example, you know, if you're gonna go buy a car, right, and some accessories, or like if you're gonna go buy a suit and some accessories, you know, you would, you know, because you need shoes, you need a tie, you need a shirt, right? You would think, okay, well, let me get the shoes, tie, and shirt and see how much I have left over. That'll tell me what, you know, level of suit I can get, right? Like Armani or, you know, am I going to J.C. Penney, right?
I'm
And
going to
and he
Goodwill.
Right, like, you would pick up everything you need and then get the suit to make sure you have everything you need when you finally have the suit, right? He said, "That makes sense, you know, that's what you would do." He said, "But in sales, people know that is not what you do. You sell the major item first because you take advantage of the comparison loop in the brain. Once they've already spent 200, 50 seems like nothing."
That's
He said,
brilliant,
so
man.
because he said, so you exploit the comparison aspect of the human brain. And that's what he's getting into. He's like, there are different aspects and you have to attack them all sort of simultaneously. Like you attack with a rare choice, right? On an expensive aspect. You know, and he said, and that's how you get overridden and end up buying a car you can't afford.
That's why you've got 10 of them sitting out of sight of every major base in the U.S.
Yes. Yeah. You can always tell what unit deployed when you pull back into the
Right.
parking lot. All like there's nothing than a year-old car in there. You're like, oh, these guys got back. Good for them.
That's
Somebody
right.
yeah, you see the McLaren, you're like, oh, re-enlist overseas much?
Yeah, right.
E3 with a McLaren. Let me guess, you re-enlisted in the Gulf, huh, jackass?
The real bet should be how long is he going to keep it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember in Camp Lejeune they had we went in for I forget what it was, financial counseling or something. We wanted to buy a house. And
Command financial
oh my
specialist.
God, I'll have to tell you about this story here in a second. But when we got there was like a mugshot wall. I'm like, what the hell is this? They're like, oh, these are the serial marriers in the area. They marry E3s, fulfill the time allotment to get retirement, and then divorce immediately. Like if it's like 30 days or something, you know, or
Was that
whatever.
in your admin shop?
No, it was like in the base, like
Oh,
financial center. It was like, these like are the
Fleet and
serial
Family
marriers.
Service Center?
Yeah, I was like, don't marry these women, you know, like there was like
Oh my
8 of them
God.
up there. They were like mug shots, man. And they were like, yeah, they're the serial marriers, man. They said they basically have a full paycheck off of like 15 different 10%.
I believe that.
You know?
Hey, real quick, Tiffany, if you're still listening, I have I want to follow up with you on our last conversation offline, if you're still in the room.
So getting back to the financial counseling. All right. So my wife, and Andy's met my wife, right? And look, there
Many
are
times.
stereotypes for a reason. Okay. My wife's Asian. Her math is impeccable, infallible. I have 2 stories about her math. This is one of them, right? And basically, we go to Fleet Center because we want to buy a house, and we're just not sure about you know, like percentage rates and things like that. We never bought a house before, right?
Well, go a little bit further or back up a little bit more because you guys lived in housing, base housing.
We lived in base housing my whole life, right? My whole life we lived in base housing, and we weren't going to go buy a house in North Carolina. But what we wanted to do was, you know, understand when you do go to buy a house, you know, what do we need to know, right? Because we had time. So we get there, and I just want to say, a lot of these services are not set up for people with their shit together. So
That is 100% accurate.
So the first 15 minutes was telling this old retired Marine, we're okay. We're not in debt. All right. and we had to go through line by line. So my wife pulls out a spreadsheet she keeps, right? And he's going through a spreadsheet and she says, "Would you like to use mine? I have the same categories and an additional 3 at the end." Right? She said, but I use all of your categories. I just added 3 extra. You can use my sheet. He's like, no, I have to put it in the, I just have to put it in the computer here. If you just go along with me, no, thank you. We'll look at your sheet later. Right? He's like not hearing anything. You know, he's like an E3 just showed up and doesn't understand there's bills.
Right.
Right. You know, and he's like, just do the machine, just do the machine, be quiet and do the machine. So we sat there, and at the end of the financial counseling, he turned around and said, "I don't really know why you're here because you're better than me. Like you're like your credit score and everything's better than mine." And I was like, "Well, I don't know how to buy a house. I came here because it says house buying assistance." And he's like, "Well, we usually just get people on a budget to buy a house. We don't like, I mean, what state are you buying?" I was like, "Man, I gotta go, man. I gotta go, dude." It was a wasted hour and a half, man.
For
with
sure.
this dude.
I was the couple of my commands. I was a command financial specialist. I would have killed to have somebody like you come in. All right, done. Let's knock it out. Let's get down here. Here's your resources. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
Perfect. In and out. 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops.
Yeah. I just wanted to understand, like, hey, what's a fair percentage rate when you buy a house? Hey, those were my questions, but instead he didn't want to hear any question. We had to do the budget first.
Well, he's a Marine, man.
Yeah, exactly. We had to do the budget first. And then at the end of the budget, he says, "We're better than he is. He doesn't know why we're here."
Hey, you want a job?
We really don't help people buy houses. I know that's what it says in the name, but
Right.
First rodeo.
Hey, you want a job?
All right. So Andy, you want the second story on my wife's math skills? This one's interesting on a car.
Oh, Jesus.
So San Diego, going to graduate IDC school. I'm going to buy a new car. I'm going to treat myself, right? So I bring my wife.
Oh, actually, hold on.
Yeah.
Lammy Poo, I do believe, went to IDC school as well, if that's correct or not. Does that bother? Yeah, I've never asked you that. I'm just my old ass just calling you Lammy Poo. If that's probably offensive to some people. Does that bother you? If so, I'll probably keep calling you Lammy Poo. I just want to know. I'm such a dick.
No, I don't think so. I think that's very courteous and considerate of you. So I go to the car dealership Nissan because I was really interested in an Xterra, and we're gonna drive across country. Not offended. There you go, Andy. So we're gonna drive across country,
Sweet.
and I stop and I sit down as a young kid here. I said, "How much how much would I pay on this car, right, if I put 0 down?" So he says, does all this math, goes gets a sheet, comes back, says, with 0 down, this is your payment. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, all right. My wife sitting off to the side looks at it. She goes, "That's not right." And I said, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "That's not, hold on." So he pulls out the calculator and says, "No, look." And she starts doing the math, and it's funny math, right? It's math on the calculator. Like you hit the button out of order and it comes up that way. So my wife catches it immediately.
You talking about the programmable ones?
Not the programmable ones. Just, if you're like doing, I'd have to ask her again how she saw it. But what happened was the kid does the math, hits plus, hits this, hits that. Oh, it was with the percent. He didn't hit the percent at the right time. He hit it at a different time in the calculation, and it screwed up the calculation. So my wife caught it immediately, but she caught it not when he did it on the calculator. She knew it from looking at the sheet. So that sheet with only like 6 numbers on it.
Yeah.
So the kid goes, "No, this is how you do it." Turns the calculator, shows her, right? Doesn't say this is how you do it. He says, this is it. That's what it is at 0 down or 0% or something for like the first year, some shit, right? Turns the calculator, shows it to her. She goes, "Oh," and I'm going to tell you, and Andy knows my wife, and I have never seen my wife ever do this before. And I've only seen her do it one time after. She looks at the kid and goes, "It's probably your American schooling." And then turns the calculator and says, "You don't hit percent at this time. You do the math and then you hit percent." She goes, "That payment is at 3% interest. It's not at 0." She's like, "That's not what it is."
I love it.
So he goes pale, right? His eyes get huge, and I start to feel sorry for him, right? Because I live with this woman, and I'm like, man, I learned about lying early in my career too.
You know what's coming, don't you?
And well, man, So anyway, he tries it again, and she goes, look. My wife takes his pencil and does the long division on the sheet for him and says, "This is what it really is. That's not correct." He leaves. Manager comes over. "So what can I do to get you guys in a car?" And my wife goes, "Me? Nothing. But I don't know about him. He still thinks that's 0%. like he's a sucker. Like, I'm not getting in your car, but this idiot, he's not following either. But of course we left, didn't buy a car there. And so, the drive home, I said to her, "How did you know?" And here's the difference in schooling in Japan versus the US. And I'm not here to tell you one is better than the other. I'm just here to say this is what's different.
Let's be honest, man. Come on.
Well, no, because there's I mean, what she told me was every year in school you try to test to get into another better school. So you go to school, and then usually your parents put you into cram school, so you can cram for the test to get into a better school, and that's
interesting.
Every year or every other year, right? Depending on how motivated your parents are to elevate you, to better schools, right? Otherwise, you just stay where you are, whatever. So she said in cram school, it's all memorization. It's all formula memorization. So she said, she goes, I didn't know what the answer was. I just knew if you have this symbol with this symbol before this symbol, it can only be in this range. And he was outside of the range.
Wow.
And then she goes, and then when I saw him do the calculator, I knew immediately what it was. She goes, but in the beginning, I just knew that was outside of the range. She's like, don't you cover that? She's like, Lewis, if you add 1,000, if you add a number that's in the thousands with the number that's in the thousands, you're not going to end up in the billions. Like, it was kind of her point. You know what I mean? Like, how did you not see that? And I'm like,
that's insane. Well, it's training, man. That's what it comes down to.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She looked at it and knew immediately. She's like, I knew immediately that was outside the range. I didn't know what the answer was, but I knew that was not it.
Good point.
Just the difference in schooling. Just the difference.
Well, Connie's like that too, man. She's got that finance training and background, and she doesn't. Oh God, it drives me fucking insane. Ooh. It drives me insane sometimes. She wants every damn receipt from everywhere, and she.
Oh yeah.
I know why she does it. I don't fault her, but God, man, sometimes it just gets annoying. It's like, I forgot the receipt, whatever, Yeah. But down to the cent, man, the half cent.
Yeah, down to the 1 yen is what my wife will say. My wife will say every penny, even a yen.
And she's caught so many people trying to scam us, over the years, and by being that meticulous and being on top of the finances. So, I mean, I can't fault her, because my ass would probably be dead broke if I didn't have her, because somebody would have. Right.
What do you mean every room doesn't have a disco ball, especially when they're on sale?
Right?
What do you mean?
And a midget stripper pole.
What the hell is wrong with you? Every house has one. I was in line there was only one left. That's what the clerk said.
Right.
What do you mean?
Act now.
Because. had to have it because.
That's right. There we go. There's a callback, buddy. There we go. And just because of that.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But no, I know what you mean. They do. They watch like a hawk every penny. You know, they keep track of it, and I think it's good. You know, I mean, I certainly don't have the brain for it. I can tell you that.
It's not that I don't have the brain for it. I don't have the patience, man.
Yeah,
not
that's
anymore.
Kind of what I mean. That's kind of what I mean when I, you know, like I'm not wired that way. You know, I just sort of, you know, I'm like, yeah, can't take it with you.
But you know, exactly. My BC stories, you know, before Connie,
yeah.
clearly I did just fine.
Right.
You know, by just fine, you know, living paycheck to paycheck as an E6. But you know, whatever. Don't judge me. Don't judge me.
Oh man, I wouldn't have made it that far single. I barely got out of E4. Barely got out of E4.
Oh my God. Yeah, but hats off to her, man. She does a great job. You know,
we're both very fortunate. I will say we're very fortunate people. Very fortunate.
For sure. I don't want for much. My kids, thank God they don't want for much. What they're perfectly provided for. In fact, they have way more than I ever did as a kid, and I'm happy to provide that for them. As a matter of fact, Liam, man, we just had a batting lesson yesterday. Another one. He goes to a weekly batting coach, and I couldn't help but to notice that when he first started getting lessons, he would step up to the plate. He was a little leaguer. Now, what I see when he gets up there, this kid's a hitter.
Nice.
You know, there's a difference. Pitchers would come up, he'd see him, and they'd be like, all right, no threat. I'm just going to throw him whatever I want. He makes pitchers nervous now because this kid is crushing. I didn't have these opportunities is my point. You know what I mean? And I'm so happy to give them to him.
Yeah. I told you my son started jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I trained with them Tuesday. Normally I don't stay for the adults in the evening, but anyway, I stayed and I trained with them on Tuesday. And I was telling him, I was like, I am my daughter. I've been making her do it. So she's on her 6th year now.
Really?
Yeah. So I said
That's
to him,
fantastic,
I said, she really
man.
doesn't. So this is, and what I said to him is true. I believe it, right? I believe it. And you've spoken to Aya. I don't think you've spoken to my son much, if ever.
I've never spoken to your son.
Yeah. So we are two polar opposites, but he has the same sarcasm. But he's very quiet. He slips it in. Like you're like, you realize it after he left, so you can't punch him.
Yeah, right.
You're like, oh, that son of a bitch.
Dick.
Got me again.
Yeah.
But he's very quiet, and I'm very outside. So anyway, I was saying, I think Aya hates it or whatever. And he's like, really? He's like, she always talks to me about it. I was like, yeah, because she thinks she can kick your ass. He's like, really? And I was like, yes. I was like, yes. She's brainwashed. She thinks her 6 years is gonna take your 100 pounds over her.
Right.
3 months.
Right.
Because she thinks there's gonna be rules.
So check this out, man. My little neighbor, I think you met Heather and Dave at the retirement. Yeah. So their son Carter just started taking jiu-jitsu lessons.
Oh, it's awesome. I love it.
Every day when he comes down, he's like, Mr. Andy, we learned this. We learned that. I said, well, do you have any questions? Well, yeah, we did this way. So,
you know who can show me the right way?
Yeah. And that's what I do. I said, well, that's close. Let's work on it. And it's just his excitement over it, right? And it's cool because he knows. I showed him all the medals. He came down. He said, did you ever compete? Because I have a friend that competes. And he's trying to talk me into maybe competing. Did you ever compete? I said, cha-ching. I showed him the wall. He goes,
Yeah, man.
Well, what are those? I said, those are all jiu-jitsu medals, dude. He's like, oh, wow. And then I showed him a couple videos and he's like, wow, of me competing in Japan.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow. So it's so cool, man. Jiu-jitsu it's
I love it, man.
it's universal language, man.
I've been teaching the kids class now at Team Jun Care for maybe 2 years, and it's been nothing but rewarding.
So speaking of January, I'm going back.
To kids class?
Nope, my class.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
I'm going back to jiu-jitsu.
Good.
Long overdue. I kind of, there for a while, I was really scared, man. I was scared I was going to have a heart attack on the mat. Because, do you know Keith Owen? Or did you know Keith? No.
I don't know. You know what? I don't follow it out. I'm so consumed with learning other things.
Sure. I know him because of Ricardo.
Mm-hmm.
And he unfortunately passed away from a heart attack teaching a class in Brazil on the mats. So psychologically, I knew I had that in the back of my head. And plus having the heart attack, I was just scared to death, man. Well, when we went back this summer to Virginia and I rode with, I rode with my buddies back there and everything and had a great time until I tore my hamstring. But it was the spark that I needed to get back into it. And I think a lot of the fears have been alleviated. And the reason I haven't gotten back into it sooner was life commitments. Baseball for the kid. I'm traveling next week. A lot of other commitments. And then, of course, we were right into the holidays. So it'd be kind of foolish to start.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about going back in January as a purple belt is that it's not some New Year's resolution. It's, what I mean? Be there for...
Yeah, you're returning to the farm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this guy might be rusty. You might get a couple. Get him now.
And
get him now before the rust bangs off.
And I'm going back with the attitude of I no longer care who taps me. I missed what you said.
I said not in the mouth.
Right. But yeah, I don't care who taps me, man. I have to swallow my pride and realize that, dude, I'm in my 50s, bro.
No, I know, man. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I gotta remind myself. I'm a diabetic, man. I'm a 46-year-old diabetic. I'm not just a 46-year-old.
Right.
46-year-old diabetic, man. I cramp up faster.
Well, that's
I don't have the energy I have for 5 fights.
That's it, man.
I don't help when I eat a pizza after.
Right.
But that's happening.
But no, man, diabetes, all the other injuries that I've had, plus now I've got a post heart attack. I've got to really be careful and watch what I'm doing, man. So that's a tough pill to swallow, going from the alpha male to realize that now I'm the old alpha male and I'll just know my place and let the younger bucks come up and do their thing.
Andy, I got one quick thing before we go to veterans helping veterans, if I may, because I know it's almost 8:50, or 9:50 on master time, right? Wait, I forget. I don't know what time it is.
Whatever, man. It's like 10 minutes till the end of the show.
Long story longer. Story that missed. Big thing happening next week. Big thing happening next week for people to pay attention to, if you're paying attention.
Go on.
The FCC will vote on federalizing the internet on Tuesday and all, equipment. And
really?
They're going for net neutrality again. And this time including the accessories like towers, payments, things like that, stuff like that. So
interesting.
Net neutrality, and it is expected to pass because the FCC is 3 Dems, 2 Repubs. So the chairman's tried to warn the people, but try to get the word out Tuesday, FCC, net neutrality.
It's coming unless you get out there. You know what? Even if you get out there and vote, it's coming. It goes back to the whole Ted Kennedy thing.
Yeah.
Vote if you want, but guess what? Somebody else is controlling that crap.
You see Connecticut was one of these states just threw out the mayor election, and now in Georgia they're resigning. The lawyers are resigning from the case.
I
There's over 1,400 ballot.
I did hear
Forgeries.
something about that.
Yeah, this is insane. All right, you ready for Veterans Helping Veterans? Am I ready? I'm ready.
I think I hurt my neck.
It happens.
It does.
All right. Now for our little segment Andy and I like to do is just talk a little bit about organizations or try to spotlight other organizations that help out veterans or may even be owned by veterans doing good things. And to give you a reason to go back and listen to previous shows because a different charity we try to promote. And there's so many to get through before we recycle. So yeah, go back, have a listen at some of the other shows. Leave comments if you want and support some of those charities mentioned before too. They're really good. But and we will circle back, of course. So today I'm going to talk about tragedy assistance programs for service members and their families. TAPS.
Wait, say that again.
Tragedy assistance program for service members and their families. Yeah. So it's
easy
really
for you to say, pal.
my problem is it's really small, and I'm like, I think the S at the end is service. Anyway, but this one does bring personal, and I know I mentioned it once or twice before. A friend of mine who was killed in combat, his wife had made the comment to us that had it not been for this organization, that the unit failed on some things, and other organizations failed at some things, but this unit will this program specifically, she said, if it weren't for them, it would have been a lot harder. So just to read from their mission, the mission of TAPS is the national nonprofit organization providing compassionate care and comprehensive resources for all those grieving the death of a military or veteran loved one. TAPS provides comfort and hope 24/7 through a national peer support network and connection to grief resources, all at no cost to surviving families and loved ones. So they focus on the family members, and they have picnics and get-togethers and things like that. And I know for a fact, that family's still involved with that organization and does attend those annual picnics, and they're really great. And they, build long-lasting relationships, kids camps, things like that, just for men groups too as well, because we grieve as well. A lot of female service members that have sacrificed their lives with husbands at home that may feel too tough. It's there for you too.
So, I, being the Keiko for several commands, we've utilized this organization. They're tremendous. What they do for the family members is just amazing. And if you can find it in your heart, I know I say this every week, but if you can find it in your heart to maybe donate, it doesn't take much, $5-10. We're not asking you to philanthropically, give your whole life away. Just every little bit helps. And we don't even get the money. So help these organizations out.
Yeah, that's why we bring them straight to you, so you can go straight to them.
That's right.
Yep.
Makes no sense.
You know
whatsoever.
what? Actually, I'm gonna see if I know there's probably people who are gonna be like, "Hey, dummy, it's a one-click thing," but we got to figure out how to put links to each charity, from each show.
I can totally do that. You just have to let me know ahead of time.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's not really simple. It probably involves planning.
Oh, get out of here with that crap, man. How dare you, sir?
Preparation and planning.
Preparation H. For that real pain in the ass that you're talking about. I was kind of hinting around it earlier. Those that know, but let me just spell it out for the rest of you. Today is what, Lou?
What, November 10th, right?
November 10th.
Yeah, the Marine Corps birthday.
That yes. So I spent.
I get confused by the Marine Corps and the Navy birthday. I'm serious. I still mix those months up.
Wait, the Navy has a birthday?
I mixed the months up. The one's October, right? One's November.
Wait, the Navy has a birthday?
Here, I'll settle this. Ziggy, when is the Navy's birthday?
October 13th. What the fuck did I just say? The friggatti.
I always get them confused. I seriously do. I know I shouldn't. I'm a horrible human being.
Yes. I've got nothing else to say to that, but yes, that is correct, sir. No, happy birthday, Marine Corps. I spent a lot of years with you glorious bastards, and you've made me the idiot I am today. Happy birthday.
You know what's funny? I belong to the Marine Corps League, and we have a birthday every year, a birthday celebration right around this day.
November 10th. Get out of here.
Yeah. And every year I always think, why are you doing it so late in November? Like I just again, some things I just don't have the brain for. Remember.
Moron. No, happy birthday, Warriors.
Absolutely, 100%.
Man, some of the
Well deserved. I met some of the smartest and dumbest.
oh yeah, for sure, man.
And I'm sure have felt the same about me.
Guaranteed. I mean about me too.
Oh, I deserve everything negative said about me at the
Guaranteed. I'm an idiot today because of my formative years were spent with the Marine Corps as a young, well, basically as a young man, right out of high school. I made I made chief after leaving my battalion, so tells you how long I spent with the frickin' green side. I am failing miserably tonight, by the way.
We're done. We're ready to close.
Failing miserably. All right, well, in that case,